Good evening. Welcome to the East Bridgewater School Committee meeting of September 24th, 2019. At this time, I would take a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa. Second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank EBCAM for filming our meetings every week. At this time, we have, so we have some guests in the audience, so I'm just gonna go right to that, so they don't have to sit through the whole thing. So we have an item on the agenda. Time has been, so the item on the agenda is a discussion regarding the request from Nate Rollins to name the Gordon W. Mitchell School main office in memory of Carol Power, a former administrative assistant. So I was, because Gordon and Rob are not with us this evening, I was going to ask to table this discussion for a later meeting. But that's, I mean, that's up to you all if you want to decide to do that.
I mean, do you think it's that big a deal?
I do,
Yeah.
I do.
We
Because-
prefer to have everyone here for discussion.
I don't disagree, but this was a request that came in from, an assistant back over the summer. So we've been patiently waiting for it to hit our agenda. And the family is here.
I think it's a big enough decision, though, because it affects the future. It affects now and it affects the future, and affects future decisions. So I feel like Gordon and Rob should be here. But
Liz was just saying, since the family came to be here, can they, say what they would like to say, and then we can take it under advisement
sure.
when the full committee's here?
Would you like to come up? We have the son of Carol Power. It's Mr. J. Power.
You can come right here.
It's just something I just found out about this afternoon, so I had no idea what was gonna happen, but because it's my mom, I wanted to come. And I have no problem with you delaying it until another time. You can come back. We saw it online, my wife saw it online, so that's how we found out about it. So, and I know Nate Rollins was the one that started it, and I know he's not here, so I don't know if he has something to say.
I have his statement.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he works Tuesday nights, so he's not gonna be able to be
Yeah.
here
I mean,
regardless.
like I said, I don't know anything about it. I mean, my mom loved the school, she loved her job. I'm sure it would be an honor. It's just, I heard about it, so I wanted to come.
Yeah.
And I'm okay if you wanna do it at another time.
Can we do it in the meeting in 2 weeks?
You have a workshop.
You mean the 10/22? That would be a workshop, so it would have to be the first meeting in November.
We don't have another meeting until 10/22?
No, we have another meeting, but Gordon won't be at that one also. So,
Oh, yeah.
it would be the first meeting in November, or the second meeting, whichever one, it wouldn't matter.
I, again, think it's too long. We have benches around and what have you. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Teresa, why don't you read the statement, Nate's statement?
You want it read now?
Yeah, but I think I still feel like we should take it under advisement, and have the full committee here.
Hold on. Sorry to have my phone out, but that's where he sent it
While
to
you're
me.
looking for that, I'm just gonna say, so I did do some research, and I did find out that Mrs. Power was she was a teacher's aide that was for 18 years, and then she worked in the office, at the main office for 11 years, when she retired.
All right, this is from Nate Rollins, who forwarded the request directly to us. He's a, 2015 graduate of EB Junior Senior High School, and graduate of Emerson College this past May, and is now a sports producer at WHDH. I'm sorry that I cannot be at the meeting tonight. I appreciate the school committee for hearing my request. I am putting forth a request to name the Mitchell Middle School main office in Carol Power's honor. Carol worked as a secretary at the middle school for 30 years. Her bright smile and warm sense of humor made the school an inviting place. There wasn't a soul who walked through the door that Carol didn't know their name. In 2014, Carol had a stroke while working and never returned. A small gesture such as the Carol Power main office would really show how much she was truly appreciated. Thank you for your time. And then he has a funny story. Funny story, I lost my phone once at the school, and she stayed with me till 5 p.m. to help me find it. Small things like that are really wonderful. So that's from Nate Rollins.
I think it's a wonderful idea, but I agree. I think Gordon and Rob should be here to weigh in on it, but I think it's a wonderful idea. Would you be willing to come back to the meeting in the beginning of November?
Yes, as long as I know about it.
Well, we'll make sure you know about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming last minute.
Thank you. That would be November 12th.
Okay, is that again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll put it first on the agenda so they can get in and out.
Absolutely. So we have a visitor, we have a guest here, Mrs. Lisa Verasso. She's K through 12 Student Activities Director. She would like to present our school committee with the opportunity to have all students in the district fingerprinted free of cost by New York Life. Welcome.
Can I just ask a silly question of the committee, because it says materials enclosed? Am I missing something, or are there no materials enclosed?
You are not missing anything.
Okay, because I printed my package, so then I said, oh, I better pick it up. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, Lisa.
Hi. Thank you, everybody, for your time. So, in June, I volunteered at the Sidney Craven 2-2 run, Little Vikings did, and at the table next to me, I met a woman who works for New York Life Insurance Company. I've always had this, like, with my own kids, this crazy fear of something happening to my kids, like it was like over the top crazy. They're all in their 20s now, but my daughter's still in college and I worry about her all the time. My biggest fear was always my children getting kidnapped. I don't know why, but it's just been a fear. So I walked over, introduced myself to the woman, and asked her if fingerprinting was something that they do. It is something that they do, and I went so far as to say, okay, would you be willing to let the before and after care kids get fingerprinted for free and everything? And so she said, well, let's set up a meeting and let's talk. So about a week and a half ago, she came to my office, we talked. I loved what she had to say. And then I said, well, can we open it up to the district? Because I don't think, it's such an important thing for a parent to have in an extra security measure. And once you have those kids' fingerprints and the police know what the markings of the thing, it's a matter of seconds for, God forbid, something to happen to a child. It's seconds for the authorities to have it. So I said, can we open it up for the town of East Bridgewater? And I said, can we still do it free? Because I think something like this and putting East Bridgewater on a map, that we're offering this to the entire town of students, whether they're in preschool or whether they're in 12th grade going off to college. Because there are college kids that go jogging and then they're missing. And right now, there's a 5-year-old girl in New Jersey, and she's missing. And I just think it gives parents that little extra peace of mind. I know it's something that people don't want to think about, but the fact that they're willing to do the district for free, I think it's something that we should really take advantage of. They're willing to come out 7 in the morning to where the before and after care group is. They're willing to come to the high school, whatever times. They're willing to work Saturdays, to come and do it on Saturdays, and they're willing to do a couple of evenings as well. I am giving my time. I will be at every location that they are, and once a disc is given, if the parent doesn't want to stay or the parent can't be there and they want to hand their information over to me, I will be that confidant where I will hang on to their child's disc until they come and they sign for it. And I haven't talked to her yet, but as I was driving here, because I just think even more, it's something that I want to talk to them about, because I think it should be something that we should open up to the staff and their children as well. I mean, it's just, EB is a family, and I just think, like I said, it doesn't matter if your child is 3 months or they're 30, you're gonna worry about them, and it's just that extra peace of mind. And when I had my kids done, my kids were all in their 20s, it was on videotape. But I still have those 3 videotapes because their fingerprints don't change, their birthmarks don't change. And it's just that extra peace of mind, knowing, God forbid, my daughter is walking through campus at UConn, something happens. I can get the information to the police in a matter of seconds. So I would just like to propose that that's something that you would allow me to take the responsibility and the reins to offer to the families of East Bridgewater as well as the staff.
Lisa, have you talked to, I want to say Sergeant Patterson, but I could be wrong on the name. But maybe 2 years ago, there was an event, and people from the police department were down in the
The
church.
Masons would always do it. It would be the Masons that would always do the CHIPS program.
Is that what it was?
Dental imprints, it would be a.
Right, they did the DNA, the dental, although there was no dentist there that day, but whatever, neither here nor there, the fingerprints and a videotape.
So,
I don't know if the Masons still do.
Was that who did it? Because I know, I'm pretty sure it was Sergeant Patterson from EB Police was there.
Yeah, and he was there for they were there for bike safety as well. They were giving.
Yeah, well, he was doing, because he actually did my daughter's videotape. That's how I remember it.
yeah, so they don't do videotape anymore. Now, they still do the fingerprint, they do the digital from the front and both profiles. And then the parents fill out a form, birthmark, hair color, eye color, anything that would make their child, would stand out, God forbid something happened. And so it's all in a disc. So I know, because I have the videotape too, so it's like gone as the
Mine was on a
VCRs.
CD, I remember
Yeah.
that. but-
So it's a CD, and like I said, I would be willing, because there will be some parents I know from my before and after care that are gonna want it done. They're gonna wanna just hand me the paper, and they're gonna want their child done. And I have no problem taking on that responsibility, because I'm passionate about it, I think it's important. This is a social media world, and there are young kids going on to websites, or, I don't even have Facebook except for Little Vikings, and I'm lucky I can post a picture. But there are people going on, young boys and girls going on, acting like they're 18 or 20, and meanwhile they're 10 and 12. And these are the children, if you watch the news, because I get glued to these things when they come on the news, and then I hear the stories of, these children are running off with neighbors, or it's usually people they know. In the case of New Jersey, it's a little girl that was playing in the park with her brother on a playground. I don't know if any of you know it, and they're looking for a red van right now. But had that parent, not saying it would make a difference, but like, I would love to know within seconds, God forbid something happened to a child in East Bridgewater, within seconds, that parent, because of us, could hand over something to the authorities, and that could potentially save that child from dying or horrific things happening to them. And I just think it's something that, if they don't want to do it, it's fine, but why not let East Bridgewater, let's be a role model and say, okay, let's do something about this. You can try and take our kids, but we're going to be right on you, and we're going to have the information, so we're going to get our kids back. And like I said, I'm willing to take the reins. I'm willing to show up at all the locations. This is what the sign would look like. So Perula is the woman I'm dealing with from New York Life. They've put together a team of volunteers from their company. So this is we've got dates kind of mapped out, but it would basically look like this.
Can you pass that around, please, Lisa?
Yep, so it basically.
What were the
look like that.
locations again?
So the locations, they're gonna do all locations. They're willing to do the central school, in the before and after care hours. They are willing to do the junior, senior high school during school hours. They are willing to do the middle school before and after care hours. They're willing to do Saturdays. I thought probably the junior, senior high school would be best. It's bigger. We could pick a location in here. They're basically willing to come out, so I gave them a 2-week span. It was 2 weeks in October. The dates that I looked at a calendar that I thought would be good, that I could get the word out there, and be able to, spread the word, was Saturday, October 12th through Friday, October 25th. So there's basically a 2-week window where they will come out as many times as we want them to come out, as much as the need is there. Like I said, so I allotted 2 Saturdays in there, I'm willing to do a Friday night, a Thursday night, whatever it takes for these parents to say, I want this for my child.
Is there,
Because it just-
is there an opt-in or an opt-out form? So, or parents just bring their children?
No, it's basically, if you're interested, parents can contact me. I will put it on the Little Vikings Facebook page. I'll ask Joanne if she could put it on the Facebook homepage. Thank you. And it'll just be, hopefully, people are watching it here that are listening and saying, that's a fantastic idea. How can I sign my child up? But I will post something in all the schools, and however else you see fit, we'll put it on there. I want to get the word out there because I think it's something that every child should have, especially in this world. This world's getting, I'm sorry, but this world's getting crazier and crazier. And just with the whole social media things and things I hear and things I see scare me.
I think
It actually scares me to have grandkids as much as I'm dying for them.
I think it's a great idea. I have one more question. So this is outside of school hours?
So that's something I think that we're kind of going back and forth with. Junior, senior high school might be a little bit different, because you might not want to have someone that old take time out of their off-scheduled day. You know, they're going to think it's a pain. It doesn't matter what they think. It matters what their parents think. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's a lot of probably first-time parents of seniors that are going to be going out of state to college and going into a dorm, and I don't think I slept when my son went off to college, because they're walking campuses, and my daughter, she rents a house off campus at UConn with 3 friends, and she walks to the gym at night and she walks home, and it's a scary world. It's a scary world, and she's fine with it, but I think at that age, even at 21, it's like, they don't get it, you know what I mean? They don't get it. So I would like to be able to do, maybe, Liz, I think you would mention maybe at lunch or something like that. And like I said, if the parents want to sign something over to me, if they want to fill out the confidential paperwork, and they want, because everything I do is pretty much confidential anyways, I'm willing to stand with that child and step in and be their parent and let them get done whatever they have to, just because it's the parents' peace of mind.
No, yeah,
Kids
well,
could care less, it's the parents.
Lisa, on here it says, to participate, each child must be accompanied by a parent or guardian.
Yep,
So that's something that needs to be talked about with New York Life. I think that when we said, you know, if it was just fingerprinting, this, that, at the high school level, if parents, you know, want their children to get it, you know, I'm reading it right now, it says, you know, that they could, information is deleted on the premise, destroyed on site. It's another added protection. I mean, it may not, we might not see it at the 7 through 12 level as quickly as we do at the K through 12, or pre-K through 12, but I do think people want that added protection. I don't think it doesn't harm us to do something after school. You know, if parents want to come from 3 to 5 and Lisa's aftercare and personnel is there, Lisa's there to help, and their people, and New York Life is there to support it. I don't have any problems with it. I think it's an added protection for us if we're not doing it. The sheriff's department used to do it. I remember the sheriff's department used to do it all the time. It's a cost.
Yep.
And if we're getting something for free from an insurance company who does this on probably a daily basis and for their clients, I think it's a good idea. I think, you know, maybe even working with our school resource officers,
and
for something like this.
Liz, that is something that I had asked her, because at the meeting, she did not say parents needed to be present. She said if they wanted to hand the forms over to me, she was fine with that. So I did, when she sent that over, I did call her right away when I saw that, and I'm like, wait a minute, at the meeting, we had said, because I know that I will have parents at before and after care that are gonna wanna just drop their form with me and go. Like, you'd be amazed, but that's okay. I would be willing to step in, as long as that parent will sign off that I'm okay to be that liaison for them while they're not there, then that's okay. But I can revisit her and have her put, you know, we can put that in writing and we can work that out.
I'm sure that, you know, on pickup from, at the before and after care, nobody's driving their own car home, so the parent has to come pick them up.
Right.
So that might be some of those, you know, if you say on a night, we're going to do this, if you'd like to be part of it, we're gonna do 25 kids tonight and 25 tomorrow.
Yep.
and maybe you get 50 kids, or the, you know, whatever you have on a Monday night, and then on a Tuesday night, if we can get that many people out. And then, I think we'd have to coordinate, the junior, senior high school, or maybe you could do it at a football game at night, basketball game, you know?
That-
Come in and you get a free, check.
You know, the PTA at the Mitchell School and the I can't speak for the Central School, but the PTA usually has like activities going on, so that might be another way you can, get a group of kids together. It might
But I don't
work.
think, I think what Lisa's saying is they want to do it, you can't have a night where there's going to have 10 kids, and then come back out tomorrow night, we'll have 12
Right.
kids, and then
Oh,
come
right.
out. They can't come out all the time, so I think we need to say, you know, on this date, it doesn't matter the age, bring your child out. If you're a member of the East Bridgewater community, or school community, bring your child.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, they don't even have to have kids going to school, I mean,
Well, that's what it is. I decided after I was talking to her for a while, and she said she was willing to do it for free, I'm like, why just open it up for the before and after kids? I mean, yeah, it's a bonus for them, but like, I don't, like, Aiden's gonna be going away to school too, and all of a sudden, like, you don't know where, maybe it's something that you would want for him for protection, you know, like, you just don't know. John, your son's in college, I don't know if you were, you know what I mean? It's like a one less thing. You don't wanna think about it, but you just don't know. You don't know. So however you wanna work it, I would be fine with it. I have no problem spearheading it, advertising it, or whatever, but I just think it's something that, you know, would be.
it's a value-added
It's a great
service.
idea.
Yeah.
So, I'll make a motion that we, allow with the parents' permission, because they would either be there or whatever, to allow the fingerprinting of students.
Second.
I motion second by Teresa, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
Thanks for bringing that forward, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'll send you, I'll email you more information. Head of the Mitchell PTA. PTA, whatever they.
Thank you for everything you do, Lisa.
Thank you.
You do a great job. Is anyone here for public comment? No, I know. We have Riley here. Please, could you remind me what your last name is? We have Riley Costello. She is the Student Advisory Council. She's coming to give us an update on goings-on in the junior, senior high school. Welcome.
Riley, you gotta bring your piano. Play a little number before you speak.
Yeah, so I'm here to update on everything going on in this high school. I just have a quick couple things to say, so if you have any questions, I'm willing to answer. But the beginning of the year has gone pretty smoothly. We're all pretty well adjusted to the schedule. For me, I can only speak for me on this, but my school year is going pretty well. The main thing that we're all focusing on is the upcoming homecoming week, which is next week. So we've got a lot of big plans for that. We've decided our spirit days, which is, we've got Pajama Day, Boston Sports Day, a pink out for breast cancer, which Mr. Sylvia requested, and we were all in favor of that. Thursday, we're doing a tie-dye day, and then Friday will be blue and gold for the pep rally. The pep rally we're really excited for. We began rehearsals last night for a boys powder puff cheerleading team, which the best thing I've ever seen. I'm really excited about it.
Did you get EBCAM to video that?
We will
For
definitely
those of us
have
who aren't
to.
around during the day.
Yeah, so that's going really well. We have a couple more acts lined up for the pep rally, and yeah, that's Friday. And then Tuesday, I believe we have the bonfire scheduled for, but depending on where the curfew lies with Tripoli, that I'm not sure what the deal with that is.
I'll jump
we
in on
know?
that.
Yeah.
We still are, have the curfew, it has not been lifted, and it needs 2 days in a row, I think it's 32 degrees or
Yeah.
less for the frost, so that they will die off, the mosquitoes. So I did speak to our athletic director today, just how could we do this, because as you can see, you can't see it, but out and back, we have a lot of companies, in East Bridgewater who give us their pallets and who give us a lot of wood, and we appreciate everything that they do. And matter of fact, last week I saw a truck pull up, one of the local companies dropping off pallets. So I did speak to the AD. He was thinking that maybe the night before the Thanksgiving Day football game. That's usually a big crowd pleaser. Most of the kids are coming back from college that night. It would be nice to see them to come home, maybe on a Wednesday night before the Thursday game. And so that's something we have to talk about. But Mr. Sylvia has been at 2 days of professional development. He's been out of the building. So the athletic director could not talk to the principal. So once they talk about it, we're looking at that date. Unless something breaks tomorrow and I get something from the State Department that says we're going to lift the ban. But I did know that they did spray up here
They sure did.
a couple
They
of days
did.
ago, so,
Right over my house.
yeah. So,
I don't think it's making a big difference, though, unfortunately.
go ahead, Riley. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, we have, I actually think the day before the Thanksgiving game could be really,
Would you like that?
well, yeah. The only reason why homecoming's so early this year is, like, we would all like to have it later, but this is the last guaranteed home game besides the Thanksgiving game for the football team. So we do it this week just to ensure that there's a game, and that's why we do this to, that's what this is for. So, yeah, I do think that's a good idea. But after the bonfire, we had a Powder Puff Girls football game scheduled. So we are thinking of moving that to an indoor volleyball game in the gym, just to supplement that. Typically the day before. We haven't confirmed anything, and I'll talk to Mr. Leonard more about that. But
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
so that's that, and then we have hallway decorating on Thursday, due by Thursday, and our theme is Disney movies. We've heard back from a lot of clubs about their selections, and so that
Moana.
yeah. Senior class has Beauty and the Beast, so yeah, those are gonna
101 Dalmatians.
Finding Nemo.
Nemo is Disney?
Nemo's Disney.
Oh, my God.
Toy Story. All right. Lion King.
So that's the hallway decorating Thursday, and then the homecoming dance will be that Saturday, and we decided on a fall ball theme, so semi-formal dance. So tickets are on sale for that this week. Yeah, that's all the upcoming homecoming week. That's the big thing around the school right now.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
I don't have any.
Thank you for coming.
Riley.
Thank you.
Riley.
I actually think that's a great idea about the bonfire, because we're not going to get it in on a first week in October.
Not with Tripoli.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a little above 50 the next 2 weeks. So,
Indian summer.
yeah.
Next up, we have superintendent's corner.
Great. We do, just wanted, last meeting, we talked about the transportation, so I had Mrs. Benner give me a couple of notes today on where we are at. And it seems that we're slowing down on the appeals. It seems like things are getting better. We've had a couple of conversations with Lucini. John and Joanne have done a tremendous job this year, working on the buses, the transportation, the appeals, along with all of the administrative assistants at each one of the buildings, because it's not easy. A lot of calls are coming in, a lot of buses are moving around, and it's difficult. So we want to thank everybody. But a couple of things, there are currently 170 students that qualify for busing, and as a result of being eligible for free or reduced meals. We ask all families to fill out the free and reduced meals application and to fill out the sharing form so that the food service department can legally notify the transportation department of their status. There are 589 students that have paid to ride the bus. The fee structure is $125 for the first child, $65 for the second, and $35 for the third. Family cap of $225. The majority of payments are made at UniPay. This amount we have not increased in 5 years. I'd like to keep it like that. I would like us to think that we are pro-family and we're pro-public education. And what public education stands for is it's free and accessible to everyone. I'd like to keep it there. If we continue to ask for these these drop-offs at every house and going up and down streets 2 or 3 times, or putting an assistant on the bus, it's going to increase fees. So I just want people to take a deep breath when we talk about these things, and if you gotta walk a little bit, we understand that we don't have sidewalks. We understand that people do go around corners. Sergeant Patterson, I asked for him to come this evening. He was they were going to come and talk about the Narcan boxes. They were called, he had another meeting this evening to attend, and our SRO, one of our SROs, Cecilia Cacciatore, is on his team, and she could not make it because she's at another meeting for him. Speaking on Narcan, I believe that's where they're at. I did speak to him. He's ahead of the traffic, and he works with Mr. John Haynes from DPW. We talked about the signs that I did discuss about going up on Bridge Street, about slowing down, bus stops coming up, just so student pickup areas, and he's talking to John Haynes about that, so hopefully we can see some signs up on Bridge Street. That's one of the places that we found a lot of people had issues with, because people go over the speed limit. And we do have a lot, and they're gonna be posting more speed signs. So, the due date of bus payments was April 30th, 2019. There are a total of 148 students that paid after that due date. It makes it difficult to properly assign them to buses, which in turn creates families to file an appeal because of where their stop is. The routes are created by Lucini after the start of the school year. They are posted by mid-July. There are reasons that we put up dates. I know that people say that rules are meant to be broken. We can't continue to do this. 150, that's 48 people appealed after the timeline. They get a bus stop. Now John and Joanne have to go back in and fight, and it's not fighting the appeals, it's going through the appeals, working with the families and saying, hey, look, we get it. You weren't sure if you're gonna take the bus, now you qualify the bus, you're now gonna take the bus because you got a new job. It's very difficult for us to keep up with that. So no, we're not doing it on purpose and putting you at a different stop. It is what it is at that point, but I think we've done a good job at most of the appeals, and I think we have moved some around, and we have accommodated many of our appeals. We do.
There's also, I think it was really well advertised too. I mean, it was well known around town when that cutoff date was. It went home in school bulletin, on the website. I mean,
Yeah.
you didn't know what the cutoff date was, you weren't paying attention, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have the online appeals. The deadline for the online appeal was August 4th. There were 26 appeals submitted after the deadline. So 148 people signed up for the buses after, the August 30th date, and then you've got 26 people who appealed after the August 4th. Now, Tim, if this was Desi and you went in after an appeal deadline,
Well,
would Desi heal the appeal? No. So, and principals know that.
And it's nice to be accommodating, but
It's,
unless it's like a true safety issue, I think we need
it's
to-
September 24th, and these, Joanne and John probably have spent up till today, I would say for the first 2 weeks, full 2 weeks, probably from opening till 2 weeks in, probably, I would say almost 75% of their day. That's a lot of time, and and so we're taking the business office and we're holding up. So, but safety is our number one concern, that we put a lot of time in it, and so did the administrative assistants at the schools. So, we're gonna continue to work with families. We want families to continue to put the proper paperwork in, sign the sharing form so that free and reduced lunch, talks to transportation. If you get a free bus ride, we'll get you on a free bus ride. I even went over to the bus garage, to our parking lot with Lucini 2 weeks ago to discuss with them. No one is told to get off the bus. The only people that tell the student to get off the bus is the schools, not the Lucinis. They agreed with that. Let us handle it. There's no need to argue with a child or to tell a child, well, I don't have your form yet, I don't have your bus ticket, I don't have your name, and no, you can't get off at this stop. We'll take care of that. No one needs to be there. So Lucini has been great with us. I want to thank John and Joanne, and especially the administrative assistants. I think we're down, I think you said 5 appeals. We're down to 3 appeals as of today. We're working on it, but parents, please. We'll start it again next year, get it in by April 30th, and we'll go from there. It's much easier for us to get these, it's much easier for Lucini to get back with their roots by the end of June, and then us say, here are the roots, this is what's happening.
Do you think it would be helpful to consider, and I know we talk about fees and doing what's best for our kids, I'm just thinking in terms of helping the business office do their job, a slight change in the fee if you're after a certain date? I mean, $10 extra if it's after April 30th, you know, and I mean, there's, I think enough families that $10 or $20 if you have 2 kids, yeah, let's get it done before that date. I mean, if there's that.
I mean, that's up to, I mean, that, obviously, that's up to you.
Right.
I'd support that.
I mean, that's up to you if you wanted to discuss that. I think right now we're down to 5 appeals. I think next year, I think as we get closer and the budget, as we start the budget process in probably less than a month now, right? We're getting close. I have a meeting with the new town administrator along with the other department heads and John on Thursday morning for his opening meeting with all of us. So we'll hear the timeline from the new town administrator, and I'll get back to you on the budget process. But as you know, the budget process is always,
Yep.
so I think it's something you need to look at. I think that when John is done with the end of the year audit that they're working on now in the business office, I think when he's done with that, he could probably give us an audit of transportation, of how many appeals were here, when did they come in, what were the dates that we received them. He and Joanne could give us something like that by January of next year, and we can look at it. Would it
Yeah,
be,
I think it would be worth.
would it be
looking at.
feasible to look at this and to add
Yeah.
$10 this week, and after this time it's $30, and after this time it's $50, and then after.
If
It
a
doesn't
minor
creep-
financial incentive could cut the number from 175 down to 75, I mean, imagine how that would,
Yeah, I think, actually,
In the past. That was done in the
It
past.
was.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
But that comes from you.
right.
So, but I think when we get done with this, we'll do an audit and then have John present in January or February when we're getting ready to do the budget, and you can decide.
I think that's great, because, I mean, obviously, I don't think the majority of parents understand what's involved from start to finish, and then once everything's done, what has to be recreated, you know, to accommodate, you know, the requests, whether they're safety or otherwise. So you can demonstrate there's, you know, manpower being used to have to facilitate this, so.
Yeah, and potentially the late additions could change multiple routes just because of the number of kids on a bus.
Right.
I mean, there's X number allowed. If you go over that number, then,
They continue to call Joanne, and Joanne's like, okay, and then we call the parents and say, you know, we're gonna put them on bus 8, between G and H. G's going this way, H is going this way, but it's an easier drop for H than G. So, we hear that all the time. I think that by January, February, we can get an audit, John, and then we can go
I
from
made
there,
a
and then
note.
you can decide.
I made a note to bring it back in January or
I
February.
think that gives them enough time to settle down after the end of the year audit, start the business, start the
well, they
budget.
probably don't even want to look at busing for a little while, too. We should give them a little break from it.
John?
He's just gonna
Yeah.
smile and nod.
So we got some fall coach appointments. I'll go quickly through them. Brendan Boats, Mitch Daly, John Davison, Ryan Eaton, Mark Ferrioli, it'll be Jamie Helk, Patrick Horgan, Chelsea Krajik, George McCabe, Jordan McDermott, Matthew Montero, Abigail Pellegrino, Travis Pickles, Michelle Rizzo, Mike Smith, Sean Tarpey, Charles Woodman. And next to their names on that page, you'll see the sports. I recommend them. Advisors: Christine Babcock, Amy Berengerette, Michael Casano, Nicolette Sella, Amanda Cullinan, Lauren Dalton, Jennifer Dias, Margaret Driscoll, Mark Ferrioli, Jennifer Furia, Maura Glynn, Daniel Hatchfield, Ben Healy, Ryan Hines, Melissa Cowell, Marziana, Mickey Lasley, Linda Messini Pavlov, Elaine O'Brien, Sarah Moore, Abigail Pellegrino, Ray Ponte, Marie Principe, Jean Sarazin, Jamil Siddiqui, Bill Silva, Sandra Tellis, Sarah Trainer, Caroline Tucker. Those are all recommended. Went through the calendar. As you know, we've had 2 meetings for the last 4 years, so that one is a business meeting, which is tonight, so that's why it's going a little bit quicker. We have a business meeting tonight. comes from John Shea's, the Business Administrator's office and my office. The second meeting comes from Dr. Williams and my office for curriculum instruction. This is the new calendar for the year.
I have.
There are meetings that will be subject to be changed due to, there's an issue.
Unforeseen circumstances or whatever.
Yep.
I have something to add to the October 22nd, was just to go over the resolutions for the MASC. But that's like, that would be every October.
Okay. Anything else? The homecoming bonfire we spoke about, looks like, you know, if you want the Wednesday before, the Thanksgiving Day football game. That's probably the nicest time to, because you have the college kids back from their, you know, their first, and have other kids coming back too for Thanksgiving.
Good idea, Patrick.
Does anybody have any,
Told her that was your idea.
I was just making sure he wasn't sleeping.
with regard to this calendar, is there anything anybody feels they would like to see that isn't here? I feel like it's pretty comprehensive. No?
No, I mean, you know, as long as stuff arises, you know, which it always has, so,
We
I
just
mean,
had
this
it.
is our guide, you know.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Well, I didn't know, there was one thing, so the superintendent and I went last night to meet with Michelle Dubois, and I did not bring my notebook with me, that I took a lot of notes. But I'm gonna let the superintendent talk about it. She did a lot of talking last night, and so did the superintendent from West Bridgewater. It was very informative.
Krista, you were there tomorrow.
So, the legislators across the Commonwealth have been asked to go out and discuss the new formula, the new Chapter 70 formula, in each of their districts. 2 weeks ago, Walter Timothy had one at Stoughton, and he brought Senator Peisch's accompanying senator, I can't remember his name, but he's also running the formula with her out of her.
Oh, and Aaron Viega, I think that.
Not her, not his aide, but it's another senator.
Yeah.
So they were there, they discussed the new formula and the new Promise Act for students that the governor has put forward. If this comes through, it's great. The biggest addition that we see is in transportation and the out-of-district transportation and students that need to go out-of-district. That would be huge for us, huge for a lot of the small districts that do have students in out-of-district placements, that do have students that are traveling even to Weymouth. It's a lot of money. Dr. Oakley spoke last night about how they've had some people move in to the district, and their sons or daughters needed out-of-district placements, which has increased Dr. Oakley's budget by almost $1 million last year, and I think for this upcoming year, she'll go that direction. It's a lot of money for small districts like us. We have no oversight, there is no oversight on private schooling that offer these types of programs. They can charge up to, they can go from $150,000 today and say, you know, our price is going up tomorrow. They do not have, there's no guidance. There's no regulatory mandates on them. Matter of fact, we got one today, Mr. Shea. I think the swing is almost 25,000?
18,000.
18,000. So, and that just came. So budgeting for one thing from July 1 to September 23rd, receiving a telephone call from their school, coming from specialized services across the hall to say to obviously they run their budget on that side, but coming over to tell Mr. Shea that we've got a 20,000 increase on a student that's going out of district. They can raise their prices at any time.
Just, the privates, I think, have more flexibility for raising prices.
Yes.
But the publics are governed by the Operational Services Division of the state.
Right.
So, this one, I think, increase was actually a public school that was granted permission to increase their rates by the Operational Services Division, so,
I mean, it can happen,
oh, yeah.
but I mean, this was an unforeseen $20,000.
That's including the transportation, the 20,000?
No.
Oh, so that's more on top of that.
Right, so you're adding. So on the private side, we might see somebody go up, at 60 grand, 100 grand, which we hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we've had a $60,000 increase in prior years.
So, I mean, those are things that Senator Timilty, Representative Dubois asked us, talked about 2 weeks in Stoughton, and just talked about the same things last night. What can they help us relay the message? I think a couple of the messages are, in East Bridgewater, Mr. Shea has said that, this year is an increase of 200,000, next year maybe 450,000, 3 years from now it was 700,000, 4 years from now we should be at the 1.5 million that was promised to East Bridgewater. That's not just for salaries,
Of course not.
it's for the education of every student in this district. I continue to say when I'm out and I advocate for monies for the district and for all schools is that public education needs to stop looking at kids as students that are on an IEP, students that are not, and students that are in ELL. We educate all. Whatever it takes to educate in East Bridgewater is what we should get. The big five will get a lot of the allocation of this money that will come through, this opportunity, the Student Act from the governor, which they need it because they have more at-risk kids than we do. However, we can't be overlooked. And that was something that was said last night, is please don't forget the small suburban schools. Don't forget the schools out west that have no technology.
Big Five can also absorb those day-to-day changes better than we can or West Bridgewater can.
Yeah.
One move-in can devastate either of our budgets.
Right.
For
Right.
them, it's
It's constant.
station.
Plus, they're based on almost all federal funding at the Big Five. And the state can't touch that. So, but they can touch other money. So I think right now, I think the governor's in the right place, his thought process of helping the schools. I think most of the legislation is starting to hear from its constituents that we can't let these schools go down, and we've got a problem with social emotional. We need to help kids. We have a lot of kids in this district with KINs. We have an opioid epidemic. We have a social emotional epidemic. Some of it goes hand in hand. We have anxious kids. We have anxious parents. We're working with our police department. We're working with our fire department. We're working with all of our families. We need support. And the only way to get support is to change this funding formula, create a formula that works for the Commonwealth, that everybody sees an upswing in monies.
Michelle left with a giant list of things.
Well, I think she heard from, I think that Dr. Oakley has been around, she's much older than I, and she's been around a long time. And
I'll pass that along.
just like Dr. Williams, they're much older. So when I think she was here when Prop 2.5 came around. She was here in 1993. She saw what happened. She was in that wind and grind. She was a superintendent when there was no monies to be had. She's seen it, the ebbs and flows of the foundation formula working and the foundation formula not working. So she's great for me as a colleague and across the, going over to the west and asking her questions. But I think that we need to advocate and continue to get up on the hill and continue to knock on doors and to say, hey, Get out here and vote.
I'm definitely gonna follow up with Michelle Dubois on all of the things that she wrote down.
Well, one of the interesting points was the fact that the school choice is $5,000 a student.
Oh, yeah.
And that hasn't increased.
Except for
How
the
long?
school, except for the,
1993.
Since, yeah, 1993.
Except for
And
that at-home
charter
one.
schools, the charter school is 7,000, so. there's-
that's the
Well,
online one.
TECA,
Yeah, TECA, the state-run online charter school, the reimbursement for that is 7. So why is there this inconsistency?
I
Right,
mean, even if you were to increase us by $2,000,
It still doesn't
I mean,
cover.
West Bridgewater would, I mean, West Bridgewater is K through 12. I mean, Dr. Oakley almost she sustains West Bridgewater on school choice.
We'd be a K to 8 district without school choice.
You know, you're right.
K to 6 maybe.
Yeah. But here, we have, I mean, we do well off our school choice. We certainly don't want kids leaving. I'd rather have them go to the Aggies. I'd rather have them go to Southeastern. I mean, because that's a vocation. They're looking for a certificate. They're doing something that we do not have here. I don't want a student leaving because they don't like our schools, or they feel that they're bullied, or they feel that they are anxious being here. That's something that we need to create a better avenue for kids here, and we're trying to do that. We can't always do those things without a supported budget. And I think that's one thing that came through, is if she can get out there and just say, hey, why don't we give them an extra $2,000 for every school choice kid we have?
Yeah, the school choice is really way too low to remotely cover
It
the,
doesn't cost the state a cent to do that either, not a cent. So, I mean, even to build in like a cost of living increase year over year, 2% every year or something like that.
One of the things that Dr. Oakley and I, we push too, is a student with an IEP usually does not go to a charter school. However, if it's a $13,000 student, that money will go to the charter gets $13,000. They don't get the $5,000.
Right.
But when I send a child, I have to come up with that other $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. That's something I am a proponent. I don't dislike charter schools. I think there's a reason for them. I don't like their formula. And so, it's not fair. It's not fair. And I think our colleagues right now, Dr. Williams and my colleagues are starting to look at that formula and saying, wait a minute, if you're a public school that has public access to funds, then it needs to be equal across the board. You're taking funds from, if a charter school is in East Bridgewater, they're getting some of our private funds, or giving some of our public school funds. And then if our child goes there, we're sending more than the 5,000. So that's something that I know that the association will be looking at. But I thought that the conversation was good. I think that more people need to get out. I think that more people need to get involved in these
it was a
conversations.
very sad turnout.
Well, yeah, and I think some people, like a lot of things, it's just gonna happen regardless.
Is it believed that this is going to pass? I mean, what's the feeling on this bill?
From what I'm hearing is that it's gonna pass. However, now, as it gets closer and closer to getting passed, and to its due date, now people are starting to shuffle, because now the lobbyists are up in front, and now everybody
back
has
onto it,
interest. I mean, John, from Robert Hatch, is he sending anything out?
No, I haven't received anything yet.
The only thing that we received from our association is that we gotta keep writing the letters and keep pushing. Anytime there's a large amount of money, and I think it's 22 billion, 22 million, 22 billion over the next 5 years.
1.4
I thought it was 1.7.
Is it 22 million a year over 5?
And then it was with inflation.
Whatever the breakdown is, whether it's 22 million over the next 5 years and 1.4 billion
Yeah.
over the next.
Oh, that was all right.
That's what I think it is, yeah.
So, if it's 22 million a year added in for over the next 5 years, or
I thought it was like
1.5
1.7 billion over. it's the
when you
5
ever
or
have,
7
when you
years?
ever have that extra money, every lobbyist in the world's coming out to get it. Whatever it is, people are coming for it.
And their feeling is if they don't get it done this year, it may not
It
be
won't go.
a while
Right.
before they have that money.
That's what I'm hearing, yep.
Yeah.
That's
Because
what we
the
heard
mo-
before.
the men, you know, Sonia Chang Diaz or Diaz Chang, I forget
Chang
which way is
Diaz.
the right. I mean, she's really shown the spotlight on education and kind of almost shamed the legislature into having to act.
Right.
And, but you're right, if it doesn't get done now, that shining moment is gonna slip away and we're gonna lose the momentum that we have right now.
Right.
So it is important that everybody pressure everybody they know, and not just our reps. I mean, I'm very friendly with the Braintree reps, as you know, so I've had a number of conversations with Mark Cusack, and,
Right. I think they all want it, but of course, everybody says, oh, there's only so much of the pie that's there. Well, what's your most important piece of the pie? So people need to start looking at it that way.
good news is it's not an election year in Beacon Hill.
Right.
That's the years when you want your stuff to be running through.
So hopefully I'm hopeful that it's gonna pass, and hopefully we'll see some movement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we had a legislator tour of our buildings. That was Senator Timilty, Michelle Dubois, Mike Brady sent a representative, and
Allison?
State Rep Allison Sullivan. And so I set that up because I thought it might be beneficial for us, and I have to apologize because I did not make you all aware, and I should have, and for that, I am sorry. But it turned out to be a good tour. I think it was good to have the relationship, to have them come here. And so Michelle Brady had to leave early. Allison Sullivan got to see all three buildings. They got to see the boiler project.
No, Brady was here, but Mr. Walter Timothy.
Oh, yeah, his aide, he sent a rep in his place, and he stayed the whole time. We went over to see, you had talked about the Mitchell
Boiler.
School, the boiler over at the
At
Mitchell.
Central School.
No, we saw that, but we also, at the Mitchell School, they were talking about the furnace or whatever those two.
Connecting
Thinking
it?
about- of
or
connecting the two.
Leaping it, or whatever they were gonna do?
Yep.
So-
We're looking at doing that.
I said to Allison Sullivan, I said, oh, maybe we might get a grant for that, Allison. So I was hoping for something, so who knows, I'll follow up with her on that. But, I don't know, do you have any input on it?
I think, the more you show off the buildings and the more they see the kids, I think it shows that they do care about this. They're all up there, they're pushing for it. They came on a rainy morning. They stayed all day. They walked around, or stayed till the morning, and they walked around. They got to see our boiler rooms, which are important for them to see, because that's really what you do, is we're trying to get grants, and MSBA is a very big piece of the pie right now.
I spoke with Allison. What day was the tour run? I talked to her a day or two after, whatever the
Yeah, I
case
don't
may
remember
be.
which day it was.
And I will say, she was very, very impressed with the buildings and our ability to keep the buildings
Clean.
in the way they are with the limited resources we have.
And we showed them our boiler project that's going on now, and that we hope that it comes in or that it will be done on October 15th. We also talked about how that we're in the accelerated repair program once again in the queue for the roof. So they like to know that. We are part of their communities. So they need to know that, and they need to know what's coming in and out. And I told all three of them that when the end of the year report's done, we'll have some information for them, and we'll send it to their offices.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
And next up, we have John Shea, I'm assuming it's you, with the Chromebooks, talk about the Chromebooks?
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about the Chromebooks. So we purchased the 50 additional Chromebooks. They were delivered within a couple days. And 50 was a good number because we had map testing this week, and we had approximately 40 to 50 kids that have their own Chromebooks that needed a school-issue Chromebook. So it actually worked out, and I think, knock on fake wood, I think pretty much all our kids have a working Chromebook now that.
I do want to ask a question about that, because I know of a few kids that still have issues, but my thought is they probably didn't come forth to say they had an issue, which kids can hear things and forget or what have you. So is there an opportunity or intention to kind of survey the kids again as a second round?
We can certainly survey the kids again, but we've made it well known.
Oh, I
that
know.
If they have an issue with their Chromebook, during Viking Block, we have staff there that have extra Chromebooks to hand out, so,
We had 2 students that came down today.
well, they were looking for charges, because
Yeah, but-
they didn't know what the office.
Right. But still, I mean,
Yeah.
it was during Viking
Kids
Block.
don't always
Right.
take that information and use it right away, right? And they need to be reminded. But there are still replacement Chromebooks available.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Of the 50, John, how many did we swap out, do you know?
Well, the new,
Roughly.
what we're doing with the new Hewlett Packard ones, if we swapped it out for them to use to.
Right, while they're getting repaired.
No, for map testing, because there were about 50 that came over the last 2 days that didn't have a Chromebook, a school-issued Chromebook. They had their own Chromebook. So they need a school-issued Chromebook to do map testing. So we handed out the Hewlett Packard ones, the new ones, and we asked them to bring those back at the end of the day. So we obviously, we're keeping track of them, but they're returning those on a daily basis. If a student has an issue with a Chromebook that's not working, we're replacing those on a daily basis, whoever needs one.
I was just curious, when we got the new ones in, I know I didn't realize it was just for map testing. I thought some of the broken ones were getting swapped at the same
Well,
time.
they are. He's
Oh,
just
they are
saying
too,
it
yeah.
worked out conveniently that there was about 50 kids that have their own
Right.
Chromebooks that needed them.
Right.
So we had them to lend and they're giving them back. No, no.
Oh, no, they're not just
No.
for map, no, absolutely,
No, I know they're for swaps.
right, right,
Thank you, John.
sure. Did I answer your question, Teresa?
You did? No. We had the right number. That was really, at the end of the day, was all I cared about.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Next up, we have the FY '20 operating budget and revolving accounts.
Okay, so we are working on the end-of-year report. It's due a week from today. Pretty close to being finished. The first page, the operating budget summary, if you look at the middle of the page, this is where we ended up at the end of last year. The fiscal year 2019 school year, it's in the middle of the page. For non-salary, we have an available balance of negative $614. Do you see, Tim, it's this one?
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
And for salary, we were under budget by $15,234. So we ended the year $14,621 under budget.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure thing.
Now, is this 14,000? I have to think back to town meeting now. Is this going into that special revolving account?
So,
Is that how that ended up working? Because
it's a little confusing, but
you don't have to get into a lot of detail about it now. I was just
I'll attempt to
curious.
explain it. So fiscally, if you look at fiscal year 2018, we were 19,894 under budget. I had requested that money to be put into the new special ed reserve.
Reserve, I'm sorry, I said revolving.
So, in working with the town accountant, she said out of that 19,894, only 6,914 applied because that's how it ended at June 30th. The rest of the, I know it's confusing, the rest of the money was encumbered, and we can do that next year. So that's why, when we went to town meeting, we asked for 6,000.
But theoretically, whatever we have
Theoretically,
left
yes.
is what's going into that reserve fund.
Yeah, that's
Where I thought we ended it.
There's not a
Whatever
pol-
we had left was going in.
Yeah, there's not a policy, but that's, well, I think we decided on asking to do. We could always ask for more, too.
Good luck with that, John.
I'd like to see the Medicaid money going.
Me too.
So at September 20th,
Goes in the general fund?
2019, I do a comparison every time I present this to where we were at last year. In the non-salary line, we have an available balance of $668,000 at this time. And last year, we had an available balance of $848,000. And salary, $15,758,000. Doesn't mean much right now, but last year at this time, $15,376,000. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how we compare at any point in time that I present this to where we were last year.
John, we still have 286,000 encumbered but not spent from last fiscal year?
Yeah, that, actually, if I run that report now, it's probably a lot.
Okay.
It's definitely a lot lower. You'll see in the next report that I present,
Bless you.
that number will be almost zero.
Great.
Is there any questions on that?
Thank you. Are you concerned at all that we're 200,000 below where we were at this point last year and we came out?
Not at all.
Okay.
I think as we've gone along, since I've been here, I think Joanne and the staff do better, won't say better, but they're doing a really good job of encumbering at the beginning of the year for the full year's expense. So it makes my life a lot easier, the work that Joanne and all the schools do.
And we certainly want that. We want to make sure you're okay.
Revolving fund balances is the next worksheet. I've given you an update of where we were at, it's again, in the middle of the page, at the end of the year, and also where we are now compared to where we were last year. School lunch, we're pretty much on target at September 20th this year to where we were last year. Circuit breaker, it's pretty much the same amount. I'm going to need to spend that amount of money this year. And of course, we will receive another, about $500,000 this year. So at the end of the year, it should be about,
What's the spend down for this year, John? Do you know yet?
what I will need to spend,
Yeah.
360 plus 180,
540?
yeah, around 540. School choice, it's at 308,000. At the end of the year, it was much higher, but if you remember, the arbitration was paid out of school choice, which reduced that.
Have the Chromebooks come out of that yet?
Chromebooks have come out of that.
That's not bad.
Athletics, a little lower than we were last year, but still healthy. Preschool, staying pretty much consistent. Sped, tuition, and revolving. We right now at this point in time we have a balance of $4,418. I don't know if you remember me. Hopefully you remember that last year we lost a family that was paying to come here from another school district. But I feel pretty confident that during this year's budget we have enough revenue to cover our expenses in that area. School building rental is $156,000. I feel that's a good number to help cover any catastrophe that could occur to our auditorium or anything like that. So I feel comfortable with that. Bus fees, pretty consistent year over year for the last couple of years. For an aftercare, has a healthy balance, and we have been doing a lot of work. Gina and Lisa Verasso to talk about renovating an area in the middle school. We're still working on architectural plans for that and estimates, but I'm sure that may be something that will be presented at a later date. Little Vikings, consistent. The sped reserve fund, I added this line, that's the 6,219. And then, Teresa, you had asked, sent me an email about the music account.
Oh, you didn't need to add it, but thank you.
So I added it.
The sped reserve, though, is a true reserve, right? It can only be appropriated by town meeting.
Yes.
I think it's good that it's on here, I just want to,
Yeah, a 2/3 vote of,
yeah, that's what I think, because that was,
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I remember that was like kind of the risk we talked about of going that way, but
obviously, $6,219 isn't gonna cover much, but
but hopefully over time,
it's a start.
right, over time.
This is really impressive. I think this is one of the biggest success stories of our district over the last 5 or 6 years, honestly. When I
Oh, yeah,
first-
just look at 14.
When I first moved to East Bridgewater in 2013, I remember people in town telling me about just how much trouble the district was in financially, and seeing where we've come from is,
Come a
really
long
impressive.
way.
well done.
Dr. Williams and John have done a great job.
Thank you, John.
Catalyst.
Next up, we have, this is just, we had talked about it before, about having a workshop on one of our school committee meeting nights. So we have October 22nd, it's the second meeting in October, is being changed to a workshop to review the new DESI superintendent evaluation model, and Dorothy Presser will be here to present that. And then also, we have to do that night is talk about the MASC resolutions, because Gordon is our delegate again this year, and so you should have all gotten one of these in the mail. So I ask that you please review pages 26 to 30 of this manual. Those are the proposed amendment, they're the resolutions and also the proposed amendment to the MASC bylaws. And then we can talk about it on the 22nd, and then Gordon will go and vote with the will of our board. Let's see, oh, one other thing I wanted to let you know, this just came up in the last few weeks, so at a few meetings ago, it was mentioned that, we were seeking a student to be a non-voting ex officio member, a student member of the school committee per Mass General Law 71, Chapter 38M, Chapter 71, Section 38M, to attend our meetings every day. And so I've been corresponding back and forth with Mr. Siddiqui. And so he's going to be working on that and getting that together. And I'm attending next week's Senate meeting, the Student Senate meeting on Tuesday, to give the students an idea of what is expected. And that's it. And so hopefully we'll have a student member come to our meetings in a very near future meeting.
I'm glad we're finally getting one.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Can
It was
I
a-
bring something up while we're just talking about discussions?
Sure.
So we had our meeting back at the beginning of June when we were discussing the schedule, and Liz made a very passionate and appropriate request that maybe we should be having public discussion at the end of our meetings instead of the beginning. And we haven't really talked about it since then. but
No,
think
I need
that's a
to bring
great
that back.
idea. So what do we need to do in order to have further discussion about that?
We can all just agree on it.
Okay.
That's it.
I mean, I know we set the agenda how we want to set the agenda, but
Yeah.
I think that was a fantastic idea.
I think
Yeah,
it's a
I
good
think so
idea.
too, 'cause
So then at the next meeting, it will be at the end. Before the action items or after the action items, do you
It's
think?
your call. You're
I
the
think
chair.
before the.
before probably, because
Oh, true, good point.
it may sway an action item, who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. There, that will happen at the next meeting. And next up, we have, I would take a motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes from the September 10th, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Teresa, second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I would take a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 13 SV dated 9/25/2019.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Teresa, second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
And I take a motion to approve payroll warrant 12 PS dated September 18th, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa. Second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, all of those were unanimous, by the way. And last but not least, this is a late addition to our packets, Trista, but it was in Teresa's and Tim's. Dr. Williams, Assistant Superintendent, has reviewed the home education plans for the attached list of students for the 2019-20 school year, and the superintendent recommends the approval of these home education plans. I am not going to read the students' names because that is confidential information. So I'd take a motion for, that.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Tim, second by Teresa. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And I happen to notice on that note where, I have two more things. So on the note where we wanted to move the public comment section to the end of the meeting, and I did not do that for this meeting, I happen to notice that we have a late arrival. Okay, so I didn't know if you wanted to say anything. So she does not want to say anything, but welcome. So one thing, I forgot to make a copy for you all, which I will do after this, and I'll put it in your mailbox, unless you want to wait around, I'll give it to you. We have a invitation for the school committee to the Ann Keneally Hines Legends and Legacies. It's on November 1st from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it would be honoring Jamil Siddiqui, 25-year East Bridgewater math teacher and 2019 Massachusetts Teacher of the Year. And tickets are $100 per person, and you need to RSVP by October 15th. And it's being held at the Ritter Country Club in East Bridgewater. And then they raise.
Early
so
this year?
It is a little bit earlier.
Okay.
And so I'm sure you all probably are aware, but the Ann Keneally Hines, they raise money for scholarships for our students. So I just wanted to let you all know that. I will make copies. Let's see, I think that's it. So at this time, I would make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Teresa, second by Tim. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Have a good week.